Today, we're going to be taking our discussion further on setting up a prospective business, and we have zeroed in on restaurant setup. At the planning stage, we've reeled out everything that you need to do, right from designs, how designs are reviewed, kitchen layout, the kind of approvals that you need to obtain to be able to successfully commence work on site. We'll take a discussion further today discussing mobilization to site. Before you mobilize the site, you must have obtained tenders of contractors, and then you have awarded a contract. Be sure that you award a formal contract to your contractor. You have already highlighted what the profile of that contractor should look like. One of those things is that beyond being a contractor who builds for people, he or she must have a background or experience designing and building restaurants, supermarket, lounges. It's very important. And if the contractor you're going to use doesn't have this experience in his profile, then you must employ a project manager who has experience delivering a hospitality business project. Now, before you mobilize the site, one thing that you must ensure you have done is that you have obtained all your construction or renovation permits, as the case may be. Another thing that you must ensure you have done is that you have all the equipment that you need to open the restaurants, either listed out, already imported, or they are things that you can easily walk to the market and procure. The reason for this is because unlike residential projects and any other kind of projects, one thing that we advocate for business owners who are running or trying to open a restaurant, a lounge, or hotel is that prior to your opening, you must have at least 1 to 2 weeks of what we call test running. You must be able to test run the equipment. If you are an existing business in this area, it is even far more important for you, because what you should expect is that by the time you're coming up in a new location, your customers are going to be anticipating, especially if you follow our guidelines. You had your signage or your opening notice up for about a month. People have been passing by and they've been seeing that, oh, there's a new restaurant coming to this neighborhood. They are anticipating. Expect a rush on that day. We've had situations where restaurants open in a location, they sell 8 million naira in a day, 20 million naira in a day, even 40 million naira in a day, the very first week of opening. So what's going to happen is that if you have not put your installations to consistent tests before you open, you're going to see the infrastructure collapse. You're going to see a lot of operation mishap. And this is going to be very obvious for your customers. You don't want to create a bad impression for your customers on the very first day you open. One thing you must note is that for every business opening up in a new location, whether you are a very popular business or not, one thing you must know is that a lot of people are going to come to you on your very first day of opening. They are a mix of people that are going to be loyal, those who are just coming to feel what you're offering. You just want to have a taste of what you're offering. If you are not able to impress the prospective loyal customers and those that just came to have a taste of what you're offering, the business is going to struggle for a very long time in that neighborhood. It's very important that this test running is done before you open sufficiently. So that's why the equipment that you're going to use to run that restaurant has to be on ground, and they have to be installed and tested while the contractor is still on ground. Another thing that you also need to start working towards as you mobilize to start construction on site, depending on the duration of the construction. So if you took up an existing building, for example, and it's going to take 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, or even 8 weeks, that's 2 months to execute that project, and you also need to start working on the staff recruitment. Believe me, this is one area that, from our experience in opening restaurants, supermarkets, and lounges for customers, that is not very simple and straightforward. The experience has been that for the kind of staffs that many of these restaurants recruit to be cashiers, to be runners, cleaners, those very lowest cadre of staff, these guys can take up any job anytime. What you should do is to ensure that you start obtaining CVs from people that live in that neighborhood. While the construction site is still ongoing, you already have a banner up there. Maybe your HRO guys will know how to go about this for those people that are already into this business. For those people that are new in this business, this is a hack. You need to listen. So you place a banner outside asking for CVs while the contractor is on site. Maybe there is a security person who is obtaining CVs on your behalf. There's somebody that comes to site every day to obtain CVs on your behalf, and you're collecting CVs. You collect as many as possible. And when it's maybe a month to the completion of the project, as you see the work progress, you then go ahead and do your interviews for them. As you interview them, you need to employ them latest 2 weeks to your opening. Why do I say 2 weeks to your opening? Because you need to train them. They need to be trained. If there's any staff that's going to work in any organization who I do not advocate that they must not be left untrained, they are staffs that's going to work in a restaurant. They need to be trained on operation. You need to introduce them to what your business is about. You need to introduce them to the culture that your business is going to be projecting or that your business is already known for. You need to train them on customer relations. Haven't you noticed that many restaurants in Nigeria today are cashiers, attendants that attend to you over the counter? Many of them are not cultured. They don't have good customer relations. The reason is because they are not properly trained. Now, in training, you must train more than you require. From the beginning, you must employ more than you require because they tell you the turnover of staff at that level is very high. No matter how much you pay them, there'll be somebody or another business, another opening that's going to pay them 5,000 naira extra. These guys are willing to change job for additional 5,000 naira. It's that bad. To ensure that your business is not caught up in a fix regarding staffing, you must ensure that you're recruiting over and above what you need per time. With time, your business stabilizes out and then you're able to just recruit just as you need. If you have a good staff culture, or if you have good welfare package or remuneration package, people are properly treated in your organization, there's a high chance that your turnover of staff is going to be low. Another thing that you also need to know when you have mobilized your site, or you also need to do while your contractor has mobilized your site, while the job is going on, there will be a need for regular meetings. And in those meetings, what are you supposed to be looking at on site? You're supposed to understand the realization of your design. Like I said in one of our previous videos, one thing is that many clients cannot appreciate a 9 square meter space in drawings until you see it physically. This is a time for you to be able to look at the space and say, oh, this restaurant space, this lounge space is too small or it's too big, or this kitchen is too small or it's too big. The first meeting you should have with a contractor if you're doing the renovation is immediately after the spaces are laid out, all your demolitions are completed and new block walls are done. Now they've laid out the restaurant space. When I say when the layout is complete, it means that you can move from the restaurant space, even not done the plastering, not electrical work, but you can move from the restaurant to the kitchen, to the store, to the office, the changing room. You can now navigate. All the door openings have been created, the windows have been created, you can navigate. So it's a good time to come to site and do a walkthrough with your contractor or your project managers on what was designed versus what is being done. Experts need to guide you in this if you're not experienced in this business. The next stage you also need to come back to site and see what is going on is when the electrical piping, the plumbing piping, and all the CCTV piping is being done. We talked about CCTV placement. Even though CCTV placement can be done in drawings, once the layout is done, it is the best time to also come back again and look at it physically. What was designed in the drawing? If you follow it through, it's going to make sense. Is it going to be operationally correct for us? Is it going to be able to be effective as per what we wanted to achieve, which is to prevent theft, be able to capture staff circulation and customer circulation as operations is going on daily. So you need to come back to site and then start looking at it again. Okay, we said the camera will be here, another camera will be here. We said the socket point will be here. We said the ovens will be here. We said the TV will be here. As you're doing that, you'll be able to see that, oh, if they put a TV here, I don't think everybody in this customer lounge will be able to see it. Oh, it will be disadvantaged to people sitting in the left corner or in the right corner. Then you're able to agree, okay, maybe we should move it to point A, point B. Another thing you're also going to discover is that you discover that, oh, there may be a column or a beam or a structural element disturbing the positioning of certain items or equipment that you have planned in your drawing. This is the time to make those corrections, to relocate electrical fittings, to relocate electronic points. This is the time to do that while the piping is still ongoing. The advantage of this is that cost overrun is prevented. If you don't do this at this stage, you come back after the whole job is completed, there'll be some mistakes that, oh well, we can live with this, we can manage with it. It's not the best thing, but we can manage with it. There'll be others that will prove to be very detrimental to the smooth operation of your business. So you need to follow it stage by stage, and then after that, they are able to commence the next, which is the finishing stage, the plastering, the block wall, and every other thing. Please don't forget that while work is going on site, there'll be a need for you to regularly invite the authorities that are in charge at every construction stage. In Lagos State, for example, there's something that's called state certification, a Lagos State Building Control Agency. They do what they call state certification. Even if you are not doing fresh build from scratch, there will still be need for state certification, even if it's a renovation. Depending on the scope of the renovation, there might still be a need for stage certifications. When you omit this legal requirement by the authorities, you could be sanctioned. Your project can be stopped, and then there can be a delay in the progress of your business. And I want you to know that whenever you're opening the restaurants or a lounge or supermarket or hotel, most of the time it's very good to stay to a targeted time, because number one is that it will help you to maximize your moratorium if you rented or leased that space Number two is that most times it helps you to be able to meet celebration periods. I've said this, I know this might shock a lot of people. Even though celebration periods are not the best time for you to open a restaurant because it gives you false hope. During celebration periods, a lot of people want to go out to go and patronize restaurants, hotels, and the rest of them. You open during festive periods, despite the shortcomings in the operations and the layout and everything that your contractor or your staff have done, you still would not be able to see those things because you will ask yourself, but I still sold so much. I still made so much. Okay? So because a lot of people are just stronging you at that point. But if you open, let's say just before festive periods, some time, apple time before festive periods, you're able to know for sure what every day of that business will look like. See you in the next video.